Hey guys, it's Chris here from Chris's Creative Life, and I design workshops that help you create beautiful projects from start to finish with easy to follow guides. And so I will invite you to take a little chuckle and read the description of the video. I thought it was super funny that earlier this week, my daughter said to me, "Mom, do you happen to have a Father's Day card I could give to Dad?" So he is not around right at the moment, so it's perfectly fine that I share the card that I created for him. But so then I had this like sitting in the back of my head that she had asked, and I thought, oh, like I'll go dig into my cupboard and I'll see what I can find for her, or she can like alter a card that potentially I've already created, right? And then yesterday, I happened to open up Facebook, and there was Sara Douglass, the CEO for Stampin Up, on a live video with one of the concept artists from Stampin Up, who create all sorts of stuff, but like just some of the would be the artwork in the catalogs, the artwork you see on the blogs, so I'm not sure if concept artists do this, but like lots of the paper and etc. is also hand designed. But so she was showing a frame that she created using the party alphabet, which is like one of the new dies that came out in the annual. Actually, I should look and see what page that's on. I'll do that while I keep on talking. And like I love dies, right? And a good alpha die is like amazing to have. So like there's tons, like even the 24 that she listed are like just like scratching the surface of the things that you can do with this die. And because it is obviously a more expensive die, right? It's just right here somewhere. I should have probably, okay. So it is on page 107. So it's this alpha, right? And they're like, it says in here, they're 2 15/16 high. So they're a nice size, right? Also, if you're interested, there is a bundle where they bundle it with the banners, which is on a different page, I feel. I will look for that after and maybe list it. But I think like for a scrapbooker, the dies are kind of like a no-brainer. But I think that from the standpoint of if you're a card maker, you might have like thought, oh, well, I don't really need those. But I'm just going to say they were tons of fun. So let me add my desk in here before I get too much farther, so I can show you some of the things I've got going on. Okay. So here is the card I created, and I'm going to create a different version today. Now, I obviously don't need another Father's Day card, as I have already created one for my daughter to give to her dad. But I thought that I would create like a more generic version of it. So these are the dies. They come in this big, huge package. And then they're in like an envelope. I've taken mine out and I put mine on. I feel like I'm far away from my desk. I put mine on magnetic sheets, and then I've just put them in an empty stamp case, and I divided mine up onto 1, 2, 3, 4 different sheets, just so that I had lots of room. So these are obviously perfect, right, for a scrapbooking title. But like I said, I think that card makers maybe were a little bit concerned about the size, but I actually had so much fun with them today. So I just thought I would show you. So this is actually the sheet. So some of her ideas were faux stitching, specialty paper. So that's like, I'm assuming like glimmer paper here. Faux stitching. So like just drawn with, so this one actually probably isn't actually technically faux stitching. It really is stitching. This is faux stitching. So like with a pen, right? So with a Stampin' Up marker, or like, that's what I would probably use because you don't want the blend, right? Because it would blend. Faux marquee, fringe, twine wrapped. I really like this one. Paper stripes. And like there's tons and tons and tons of different ways to do a stripe, right? It doesn't even necessarily have to be like straight like this. Where did it go? I did like a diagonal stripe version of some of the letters, and I don't see where they went. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I'll have to come back and do that a different day. But so paper stripes, make a stencil, color blocking, ribbon, stamping and partially stamping, beveled letters, then hand-drawn outline, offset shadow, words on the letters, right? So if you have a littler stamp set, right, you can run it across your word, your, like, yes, your letter or whatever. Partial cut, blended ombre, and there's lots of different ways you could do that, right? Embossing folder, lots of bling, outline shadow, hand-drawn details, floral flowers, layered dies, and two-tone cardstock. So like I said, this is just a few of the different ways that you could do it. But they are super fun. You're going to see me use them lots because I do really like them, obviously. They are a really good size for a scrapbooking title. And then, so I did actually use these already in Amazing Sketch Camp for my one of my titles. So, and there's pictures here if you wanted to see, because I also use them with some sparkly paper, right? Okay, so like I said, the party alphas are on page 107 in the new annual idea book. Okay, so oh, I actually landed where it was supposed to land. How fun is that? Okay, so I thought we would take this and create a more generic card today. So I used for this one, and we're going to still use the same stamp sets, right? Same stamp set, Darling Dinos, because it's just really cute. And then for my paper, I used the new Boho Vibes, and it's a 6x6 stack, and you could see, right? Like I've had fun with it already. But I thought it would be a fun little color palette to add to the dinosaurs. And like I said, there's lots of different things you could do with this too, right? You could also like inset the letters for like to lift them up. You can create a shaker. Like there's tons and tons of things you can do with them. So I think they're like a super handy resource. So we're going to use the same paper, but I did pick a different color combination and slightly different sizing because we're creating a different word in the background. So this one I did dad. This one we're going to use you, and it's going to say you're terrific. I just think it's really fun. So here we go. So for this background piece, I used a diagonal stripe out of the package, which is this piece. because we're not recreating the same card, I thought it would show you what I actually used. So, and then that's on the back. And then for the word dad, I used this piece because I thought it kind of looked like a little bit like, you know how they do dinosaur footprints. So, and on the back side is this. So that's why I picked it to be my dad part. And then this is Calypso Coral, and I'm actually going to use the same for this card too. So here we go. What else do I want to show you? I have my blends for coloring the dinosaur. That's about it. Oh, so this is the linen twine. And then for the dots, I actually grabbed the muted palette dots, which are the coordinating embellishment for the boho paper. Okay. Like, tell me that doesn't look like little dinosaur footprints. So here we go. I do have a card base. Okay. So I'll just fold my card base. Okay. So for this back piece, this time I picked this print, which on the back has this green. I wonder if we should do that. Yes. So I'm going to make it actually the more solid. And I'll show you why. Because originally, what I was going to do was I was going to do this side. But because the word you needs to be a little bit bigger, like my background piece needs to be a little bit bigger because you didn't fit in the same panel size as, and I'm going to show you this in a second, but as the same panel size as Dad, I had to create it a little bit wider, and I think you lose the stripe here. So I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to do the Mossy Meadow side. Okay. So my back piece is 4 by 5 1/4. So I have just a little skinny border, and I actually now, like, I probably in hindsight would have made it even like skinnier, like just a 1/8 inch, but that's okay. Then I do have this piece of Mossy Meadow because I decided for this Calypso Coral, I wanted it to be have just a little bit of a border so it wouldn't get lost in the print. But now I've taken out the print, but that's okay. We'll still use it. Okay, so across the bottom, we're going to add the little dinosaur spots, and I used Cajun Craze on the Calypso Coral. And let's just find a scrap piece of paper to put underneath here. So I just don't have to clean up my glass mat. Oh, you guys. See, that's what happens when you don't pay attention. That's okay. Just because it's a dark color and I don't want to have an accident, I am going to clean that up. Okay. So Cajun Craze, and I'm going to add the little spots across the bottom. And I'm just stamping off like slightly. And I'm just rotating it back and forth so that they don't look exactly the same all the way across. So like I said, I thought we'll just create a different one because I don't need more dots. Hey, Shreese. How is it going in your neck of the woods? I bet it is very warm. this would make a super cute pattern even on a scrapbooking page. Even just as, because you all know I love a good wonky dot. So there we go. You could also make it like, you could probably make like a animal print on a piece of paper with this stamp set. I bet it would be cute. Okay, so we have that piece ready to go. Then we're going to do our You're Terrific, and I just grabbed a banner from the Stylish Shapes because I like to have my sentiment like encased on something instead of like just free cutting it. It's actually cold and overcast, but you're about to get warm. Yes, we actually had 3 days of rain, which is unbelievably good because literally the whole province was on fire. So like there's tons of evacuation orders up north and stuff. So even though it was cooler and rainy for 3 days, I would never complain about it. So here we go. You're Terrific. You could also, there's other cute sentiments too that would work well. I'll show you one sec. Let's just, because I'm using dark colors, I think I should clean my stamp so that I don't end up with it all over myself. But so right, you could do You're the Best, right? Or wish and then happy birthday. Yes, it is crazy early for forest fire season. It's like normally we don't get like a forest fire season here until August. So yes, it is not good, and it is not that far away. Well, it is far away, but not that far away. But like even the lake has been, because the lake is in a provincial park, you couldn't go into they're only just starting to reopen the provincial park after the rain this weekend, which I'm very happy about because that is not fun. Okay, so I'm going to add the mossy meadow piece down first. Okay, and then our piece of Calypso Coral with the dinosaur spots in the background. Okay. Then we've got the You're Terrific. And so I did these letters with one of the fun prints. So what I found is with the print of the letters was kind of getting lost. So I did adhere 4 white ones together and then added my decorative one on top. So I did these 2 already. And I'll just do the U now. So like I said, I have 4 of them and then like my pattern piece to go on top. And if you're going to do like a stripe, you just want to kind of pay attention that your stripes are all going in the same direction. So because we're going to blue, let's put a little, oh, there it is. My other mat is underneath my, so just I grabbed a whole bunch of like little scraps. Also, one of the things I might suggest is if you are worried about like the letter size and stuff, I think I'm going to cut a set just out of like scrap cardstock that's just like potentially like a discontinued color. So, and then just keep them in my case so that I can test the sizing, right? For like a title on a scrapbooking page, or will this fit across a card front, right? So but I decided I was going to just do the white willow layers here so that, actually I think these are basic white, 8.5 by 11 pieces, but either work. Just so that I didn't have to use foam tape for the dimension for my letters. And they'll stick together pretty quickly. So you could also, if you wanted, right, do like a colored set of colors underneath. I really liked this print too on the back, the little sun. Okay. So there we go. So I think we should start a thread with all the different words that you guys can think of for the front of cards. Okay, and then I'm going to add dimension on this, but I want to get my dinosaurs and stuff all ready here. So I did already color a dinosaur, but I will start by coloring my stones, and we'll see in my little flower. And then I'll tell you the colors that I use, and if it's not too long, then we'll color another dinosaur that I could use on another card. Okay, so for the stones, I actually pulled out the cloud cover blends. So here's the light one. So I'll kind of just lay in my base with the light color. The dies, I think I have to say I love like a good chunky die, and I love that it's, even though I'm using it on a card, you can see how it would easily work on a scrapbook layout. Like it is the right size. So like you're not going to spell supercalifragilistic, right, on as a scrapbooking title, but it's just so easy, right? You don't have to worry about pulling anything else out. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of the dark too. And you don't really have to be too careful, right? Because most of it does actually get covered up. But I thought I would just pick the cloud cover because that then matches the paper. And then I have this cute little flower. We'll make it the same. So I have some Daffodil Delight for the middle of the flower. Okay, so that's just the light, and then I'm just going to take the dark, and I'm just actually going to dot kind of in a few spots. And I'm not even worried that they're the same spots that the artist did. Just a second, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit because that flower is kind of tiny. Okay, and then the petals I'm going to do with Petal Pink. So this is the light one. And you like, it was super easy, right, to change the colors to match the boho paper. So, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of the dark. And then Mossy Meadow is one of the coordinating greens for the paper. But so for my dinosaur, I mostly did him in Old Olive. And then like some of his really dark spots, I used the light Mossy Meadow. But so I have the Old Olive here, so that's what we're going to use for the leaves. And I'm just going to do like a little a little tiny bit of the dark. Like I said, you don't even really notice it, right? Because it's kind of subtle. Okay, so here we go. But I'll show you quickly how I colored my little guy. So here's just another version of him. So his spots, I did them all with light Daffodil Delight. And you don't really even need to worry a ton, right? Because it's not a very big space, right? So you don't have to worry about perfect coloring or any of those things. But I did put the yellow on first. I left his toenails white. And then, like I said, I did like his body, the old olive. And then, okay, we're going to put a little bit of the darker Daffodil Delight in. And they really just kind of blend themselves. Okay, so then here is my old olive light. So I just kind of colored him all in. I think I'm going to use my smaller tip. It's a little, I like to use the brush end, but when I can't actually see right over top of myself, the brush tip is a little bit, maybe too much. But I can control, like, as long as I can get right over top, it's easier for me to see where I'm going. And obviously you can cover a bigger space with the brush tip. But as I'm sitting back, right, it's a little bit harder. So, but I really do actually like the brush tip for filling in big spaces. It just makes the coloring a little bit faster. But you could also completely change, right, his coloring if you wanted to pick a different DSP, right? And I liked this combination because I thought it was pretty, like a pretty cute masculine card, right? So and I do turn my image a lot so that I can kind of see where my marker is going. Okay, so there's just my light. And then I took Old Olive, the darker, and I did do a little bit of that. So along his bottom. And just up the side, and I'm going to blend this back out with the light. And if you feel like you need a little bit darker, then you could go in with, like I said, the Mossy Meadow light. It just kind of depended, I feel like, on more so on the paper color that you would be doing, because then that alters how dark or how much color you want to your dinosaur, I feel. And make sure to give your markers some time to blend before you decide if you want to go in with more coloring. Because they do, like, it takes time, right? So, but I would be happy with that one. But if you wanted, you could go back in with, like I said, the Mossy Meadow, the light, and just add in like a tiny bit more of the dark color if you wanted to make it even darker across his bottom. So that's how I colored him. And then I die cut him out. Okay, so all we need to do now is put the card together. So I am going to line these up. Yeah, actually that looks pretty straight. So here, let's move some things out of the way. Actually, maybe I'll use Seal Plus. Need to put the pin back in my glue, or I will not be using it later, right? There we go. Okay. It was funny though, because my daughter was here at lunchtime, and I showed her the card I did. She said, "Oh, so can I take that?" And I'm like, "No, not yet." So said, "Let me use it for my live, and then I'll take some photos, and then you can have it." So your dad still won't see it. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to put dimensionals on this piece and kind of set it up where I want it first, and then tuck everything else in. So the dinosaur head on this one kind of fit in between, and I needed dimensionals on this one, right? Because it's actually between the A and the D. This one, I don't think I'm going to need that. I'll just put it like some seal on his head and dimensionals under his feet. And that should be good enough. So I did dimensionals along the bottom of this guy. Okay, and then the bottom of this. This one, I actually think I need to move it to the other end. I think this will end up going across the dinosaur, right? So it'll connect with the dimensional from underneath. Okay, so I want to know where that was kind of going to sit. So now I can set my dinosaur in. Okay, and I'm not going to push anything down just yet. Oh yeah, cute. Perfect. So I'm going to add some seal to this end because it does end up overlapping the dinosaur. There we go. Okay. And we'll tuck in the little rocks to create our scene. And then on the flower, let's just see. So I'm going to put dimensional over here, way over here on the outside. And actually, I'm even going to cut this in half. I know that's like crazy, but okay. And then I can add some adhesive to the flower. Oh, cute. Hey, Vicki. Hey, Rebecca. That's okay. You can join whenever you would like. Okay. So I was just telling the funny story about how my daughter decided she needed a card for her dad for Father's Day. And then I happened to stumble upon the concept artist with Sara Douglass on the CEO page. And I thought, oh, that's perfect. We'll use that idea. Okay, so I'm going to add, right again, my linen thread and add it underneath. Tuck it in. Make all my tails about the same size. Whoop. Okay, so I'm going to tuck that in with a glue dot. Yes, because I think that too, everybody was thinking at first, oh, those are just going to be for scrapbooking, those big letters, but they totally are fun. And it's so quick too, right? So they kind of make your main sentiment and then a sub-sentiment. Okay. And then for this one, right, I used the same dots, but we'll probably pick a different color, I'm thinking. So these are the muted palette dots. And so I think we're going to do the yellow ones. Okay, so I think you guys should add all your ideas for different words that we can fit on card fronts. And then maybe I will create a list. But look, how cute is that? So simple, right? But it's so cute. And like I said, I think sometimes we get stuck with like flowers and all those things. So when I saw the dinosaurs, I knew I had to play with them at some point. So I think you could use, obviously, like on a slimline card, you could use longer words, but on like an A2 size, I think we're looking for like 3, maybe 4 letter words. And obviously, like these are not overlapped at all, right? I just did them straight across so that by overlapping them too, you could probably get more words. It is the boho paper. So boho vibes, right? Because I said, and honestly, the reason that I picked it was because I thought this piece of paper looked like the little dinosaur footprints. So there's like, so it's the back side of this piece of paper. But there's so many fun prints in here, and I think quite a different color palette, right? So this is a 6x6, but so there's lots of different patterns. So, and like normal, right? There's some that are more patterned and then some that are subtler, right? So I totally think they're fun. So this piece, and then the back side is like a petal. So yes, there's like an underline, like rainbow theme to it, but like a different color palette than you normally see with a rainbow theme, right? There's these little dots, and then the back side is this piece that I used here. Then there's this piece, right? This is what I used for my letters. And then the back side are these fun suns on that really dark print. Then there's a rainbow. But like I said, a really different kind of color palette rainbow. And then that's that back side. Here's the little dinosaur footprint paper, right? So that's one side. And then this is the other side. Then there's this one. And then the back side is petal pink with the little dashes. And then this is the back side of this one. There's the green. And then I think I did these ones. Yes, they're just mixed up in different spots. So quite unique paper for sure. So okay, so there is the dad version and then the you version. So I will take some photos and I'll probably add the measurements because they are both different, totally different. I know, it's totally a different color palette than I'm used to playing with. And like I said, I picked it literally because of the little piece of paper that I thought looked like the dinosaur footprints, which is hilarious. So, yeah, so I will take some photos, and the measurements are slightly different for the layers, right? Just because I changed them depending on for the word. So I will add some measurements to my post. And like I said, there are so many different things you could do with them. Like this list of 24 is like just scratching the surface, I feel. It's a great starting point, right? That's what I would say. So, okay, guys, that's what I got for you guys. You don't need to watch me put my paper back in order. That's what I've got for you guys today. I hope you have an awesome day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.